Hey guys, welcome back to Boxmining. It's me, Michael, here. Today we're joined with a special guest, Jeff Kirdeikis from Uptrennd. He's doing a lot of stuff, also main part of the Bali crew. So welcome, Jeff, to the channel. And today we're going to do something that hits at home at the news because there's a lot happening. Notably, Matic fell by 73% this morning. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about what's just happening in the news, bouncing ideas off each other. And I think this is something that we can really broaden the channel up with, more specifically just kind of getting a broader perspective on stuff.
This is exactly it. Yeah, being able to bounce perspectives is always key. Otherwise, I find crypto can be such an echo chamber. So this is good. I like this.
And if you guys don't know Jeff, he's from Uptrennd. Your community is over 50,000 right now on the website, social media. It's really just a kind of a full big like screw you to Facebook and kind of building it a crypto community style.
That's right.
You can find him on uptrennd.com or on Facebook in cryptocurrency investing. First of all, let's take a look at Matic. So Matic took the news by storm today, and I found out by our mutual friend Tio, our cave bear.
Yeah.
He sent a message, thank God for stop losses. So I'm like, oh shit, what happened? Was it bad? And it turns out to be really bad. 73% drop within an hour.
Yeah, Matic took an absolute hit after a monster climb, though. So granted for Matic, it's kind of coming back to its median state. It rose about 200, 300 or so %. And then instantly, I don't know over a period of what amount of time, but within a couple hours at the max, it's crashed down 70 some %. I think now it's consolidated a little bit, the dead cat bounce.
So it's bounced back. So it's up to 2 cents right now. Right. It's down by half. Wow. It's recovering, guys. But man, that was brutal. I think that caught a lot of people off guard probably. Oh yeah, there we go. I can see that now. That's frightening to say the very least. And I think even looking at the Reddit post on this, do you want to read some of the comments, Jeff? Well,
let's go. Yeah, live by the shitcoin, die by the shitcoin. I think shitcoin is a rash overgeneralization term, not to tangent too much, but a lot of coins have value, but the ability to move markets in altcoins right now is so at the fingertips of anyone who has an insignificant amount of money in comparison to the grand scheme of things. You make a 10 million market sell, that's going to start triggering stop losses. And now that's what's happened in Matic. Because I guarantee they weren't selling all the way down, but these stop losses, and now people, now it's on the retail that are starting to dump. And so that's what's, I think, really triggered it. But yeah.
hey. We got hey from a kid from Africa. Hey. And we got Superfly says, just another Matic Monday. Do you think it sounds like a Matic Monday? Are you in Matic?
I'm not in Matic, no. All these pump coins are like when they're really on the rise and there's really not much going behind them. Matic was going up off an announcement that they had a partnership with a racing game or some kind of gaming.
Yeah, I didn't look too much into Matic. It was something that I was a little bit concerned about, just generally because of the hype surrounding it. Yeah. And like the matter of fact is that there's a lot of hype, but not many people knew what it was. I get some vague ideas over here, but like I don't really think many people actually knew what Matic was about, what the fundamental core. Yeah. But it's interesting to look at it.
And when you're looking at the timeline for the price graph, the announcement of when they released their racing game happened pretty much just after it started to rise. There's a little bit of insider buying, and then the price went up off this news that really isn't that fundamentally important. For sure you're onboarding one dApp or entity onto the platform, but it's not sustainable, especially when you're looking at token economics.
Yeah, it's not like a global adoption yet. I mean, that's crypto right now. So right now, of course, it's quite controversial as well because quite a few things, right? So one was just how big the loss is. So we see the Binance, CZ from Binance saying, our team is still investigating the data, but it's already clear that the Matic team has nothing to do with it.
Right.
A number of big traders panic, causing a cycle, going to be a tough call on how an exchange should interfere with people's trading. What's your take on that?
Well, from what I've heard throughout the communities and through what I've seen through the different Etherscan.
So focusing on that, so we have brought up the Etherscan, and this is filtered by the token holder Matic Foundation. So this is the team's funds and that they're moving out of their token contract. So the total value is 1 million so far, moved so far, value of $22 million. So compared to the total cap, total supply of Matic, it's around 10%. So it's not as crazy as the 15% some people have been saying, but it's around 10%ish, and it's over a long period of time as well. So it's not immediately yesterday. It's over a long period of time that they've been taking funds out.
Yeah.
So do you think that's the biggest factor? Do you think that's what happened, or?
Well, so there may be some kind of nuances in what CZ is saying. So it's not necessarily the team, but is it pre-stage investors that essentially had their tokens vested in the Matic Foundation that are now able to unlock them and slowly sell them off? It seems like this is the case, is that these VCs are now looking to dump. And I don't know why, if you're a VC and you made an investment, your tokens pumping 300%, what would possess you to do a market sell?
That's interesting, because I mean, there could be two theories. And I think this is where speculation is a must, because we don't really have evidence of what's happening unless we are Binance, right? So I think this is the biggest problem that we have in crypto trading right now. It's that Binance is pretty much black box.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's these funds that were the big sell wall that appeared and started crushing down and just obliterating the price, right? We don't have direct evidence of it because we don't know what's happening unless Binance actually gets audited by like a government entity, by law enforcement or whatnot to see what's happening. We can't even have direct evidence. So we do have indirect evidence like this where it's like, okay, look, we know how much the foundation is moving. They moved into Binance, but we don't know when they sell. And we can guarantee for sure that there are market makers that play as well. So I would take the view that there might have been maybe an error with the market making too, because
someone had a big finger slip.
Maybe a big finger slip, some sort of error, because so we saw this point, this tweet being popped up as speculation. I would say that from this point on, just regard everything here as speculation. But in crypto, you gotta be kind of careful because the craziest thing can happen, and this is one of them.
Assuming the worst is going to keep people safe, and so here could be maybe a deep down the Illuminati rabbit hole. So Binance knows that the Matic VC funds are about to get unlocked, or that there's going to be a big sell. Maybe VCs aside, foundation aside, Binance knows there's going to be a sell, or they witness that a sell is happening. There's been a lot of coins here. Like we look at Dusk, we look at Raven Coin, we look at Harmony One. All these coins have gone up significant amounts. I think all of them at least 50 to potentially even 300-400% in the last short time frame. So if Binance sees that happening and they're like, okay, if one of the big pumpers is falling, then market mentality might dictate that they're all going to fall. Okay, let's get ahead of the curve here. Market sell everything that we possibly can. I think we all know Binance isn't an altruistic corporation.
I think it's also quite dangerous here. It could be Binance, it could be market makers on Binance, it could be investors associated with Binance. There's a lot that we don't know. But I think one thing that I would say that we should start understanding more, and it's something that I've been talking a lot about on my channel, is that we got to understand the dumplamentals. Right? I mean, we've heard of all these pumpamentals, factors contributing to a coin pumping, but also dumplamentals, the factors contributing to a dump also matters. I mean, if people picked up cheap Matic very, very early on, or if they're early investors, big whale investors, they could potentially crash the price. So it could be a market maker flaw. It could be someone associated with Binance that they got deals in. It's hard to speculate here, but what we do know is that there were big sells, and we saw big giant sell walls that were just crushing down. I think the number that was given by people who observed this was 14K Bitcoin for Matic itself, just like progressively moving down like that. That was just crushing the price. So I mean, who knows? But it's obviously a big player. We don't know who it is, but I think something that we got to be very careful, especially in the altcoin space, is that market cap and volume doesn't really mean much. That's the scariest part. I mean, even if you look at Matic right now, as the stats, if you look at it, circulating supply is 2 million, and we got the total supply is 10 million. So only around 25% of it's been distributed right now, which means that someone can still hold a vast majority of it. I mean, sure, the market cap looks relatively healthy at $51 million, but
total diluted market cap is going to be 8x that amount, or just under, I guess 4x. Sorry.
Yeah, so it could be very, very scary. Like these are, it's gonna be something that we got to be very careful of, especially if you see low circulating supply, high total supply. That's always risks that the team could potentially dump.
Yes,
and there's a huge amount of risk factor here. So fundamentals matter. I think there are people who, I think I've been opening up a little bit more to people who like to play with fire. I mean, we got the first comment was like, live by the shitcoin, die by the shitcoin.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who love shitcoins, and I think recently I've been trying to open myself up to say, you know what, let people speculate. It's part of the open market.
Yeah.
But at the same time, let's especially get the risks down.
This is exactly it. Like there's a lot more to the crypto ecosystem than just Bitcoin. I think, that's an established fact, but you need to have strong tokenomics to be able to back your project. And I think that's where the term shitcoin really plays in, and where your term dumpamentals really plays in as well. Because if you don't have strong tokenomics, you got those dumpamentals on board.
Boom. Yeah. So scary. I think I'm going to wrap it up. So let's have a final concluding thought. Do you think that who do you think is responsible for this? Or do you want to leave it vague?
What's certainly not retail. Let's put it that way, because the whole market didn't move into the same mentality. So I would not speculate it's retail.
So you say someone non-retail.
That's 100%.
100%. Okay. So I think, whale dump is definitely on the table. I think I didn't look too much into the actual fundamentals about who held what for the Matic situation, but it's definitely something that you need to chase up. Like, who are the big investors? When did their tokens unlock? And also, I'm a little bit interested in why all these coins, Kava, Elrond, Perlin, Dusk, Fed, Ravencoin, One, Matic. I think the only coin that's not a Binance IEO on that list is Raven. I think, but they got listed on Binance anyway. So, I would, deep down, I would question everything because of just how kind of right now, how raw and lethal crypto is. I think at the start of crypto, I had this Pirates of the Caribbean quote. It's like, the only thing that matters here is what a man can do and what a man can't do. So, I mean, because there's no legal framework to actually look into what's actually going on inside that Binance black box, or any black box for the matter of fact, any exchange, we don't know what's happening. So we got to always be a little bit more careful than we should.
All right, so also huge in the news, talking about dumpamentals. Richard Hart's project that's founded on pumpamentals, been super controversial in the space recently, and this is Hex. So Hex is, as stated, the first high-interest blockchain certificate of deposit free for Bitcoin holders. So essentially, if you hold Bitcoin, you get some Hex for free, and if you don't hold Bitcoin, no worries. Just send some Ethereum to this mysterious Ethereum address that Richard Hart says may or may not be held by him, and whoever holds that wallet can do with it, quote unquote, whatever they want. So this is Hex.
This is just genius in Richard Hart's part. I mean, it's so evil, so diabolical that I feel like this is the plot of a super villain. So it's all just like a plan to tempt people into a new coin called Hex. They even have like these crazy statistics here about return on investment, which is something that I don't think anyone has the balls to put up normally.
Yeah.
Like you got like these stake pools, you'll be earning, it's printing money out of thin air. This caters 100% to anyone who's just looking for a quick pump, you said, this guy, I love the introduction. This guy was the founder of pumpamentals.com. He's the owner of that website. He understands, he's smart enough to realize that, Bitcoin has a lot of value, but the speculation about Bitcoin is for him, it's probably the funnest thing in the world. So this whole website is designed to essentially almost like I've almost got these like kind of big connect vibes off it, just like
100%. Yeah. And it's so backwards for him to launch a project like this. He's been such a Bitcoin maximalist for his entire duration. And now that he's seen an opportunity to launch a new coin, he's taken advantage of that. And the craziest thing is you want to talk about shitcoin. This is the epitome of shitcoin, because this thing, if I'm not mistaken, is running on the Ethereum network.
And it does nothing.
It does literally nothing. So there's zero utility. It does 15 transactions per second. All it has is essentially, it's literally like a multi-level marketing Ponzi. It's a Ponzi scheme.
It's a Ponzi. You got your referral bonuses here. Referred gets 10% bonus. Referral gets 20% bonus. So you got a heavy referral bonus. You got daily distributions. You got more hex being printed. Obviously, the fine print here is that you get more profit in terms of hex, but what hex is going to be worth in the future, that's highly speculative. Right? Yeah. And I think the scariest thing is, we see on the first day that almost, say, 2,000 something Ethereum went into Richard Hart's address.
$4 million worth, yeah.
Yeah, so the scary thing is, even though that made the news, the skeptic in me would be like, okay, could he have done it himself? Could he have just sent Ethereum to that address himself
to start the momentum?
Because people always like validation.
For sure.
If there's like 1,000 other suckers, I feel much safer than if I'm the only sucker.
Yes.
Right. So it could completely be possible that he orchestrated this himself. We know in the industry it's deep, dark, and dangerous.
Because to do that, there'd be nothing for him to lose.
There's nothing.
He could send $3 million to himself, which I'm sure he has. And now there's $3 million worth of network effect that he still holds. Yeah. And he gets an extra $1 million. Great. That's money in the bank.
So this is one of the scariest projects I've seen. I think a lot of people have been speaking out against it. So I'm really positive in that community for responding in such a way. I think maybe in 2017, there would be a crazy cult following because probably the earlier referrals or people promoting it would make money from it. So you have a community. But as a matter of fact, right now, I think we're in a good state right now. Right now, crypto, we're much more skeptical than before. Mm-hmm. So I think
not skeptical enough, apparently.
Well, we never know how many real people did this. So
this is true.
So I think I would discount that too much. And how
is this guy not going to get slammed by the SEC? That's what I want to know.
This is the funniest thing because I think he phrased everything so well. He never publicly admitted that address is his, even though it's so blindingly obvious. Any idiot could see that he would be the sole holder of the address, but he would he's just like, oh, this is to some address. Maybe he's trying to use these things to get out of it. I think someone was analyzing the terminology as well. You're not donating or transforming your Ethereum to Bitcoin.
Right.
There's certain vocabulary there.
But he's a founder of a project that's promising returns on an investment, which constitutes a security, black and white. I don't see how he's getting away with this, honestly. Kudos to him. I think the whole setup that he's put together here is really smart. There's a lot of the marketing aspects where I'm like, oh, that's interesting. There's to take notes and human psychology.
Hyper aggressive. Plays completely. He understands exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. So the design is good. The marketing's on point. Everything's done fantastically. I'm sure he's looked into the legal side on how to position himself to not get slammed by legal, because opportunity of a lifetime designed to do 10,000x return in under 2.5 years. And I think if we go in this video, one of the first things he compares it to is buying Bitcoin at 12 cents.
It gets people really excited. It's one of those things, 10x, 100x. This one is 10,000x. This makes people excited, but obviously, for me, anything that guarantees free money for me right now, it's alarm bells. It's alarm bells. Mm-hmm. Wrapping up very quickly, I want to touch finally on Ethereum's Istanbul. So Istanbul is a hard fork, so it's an upgrade to Ethereum that was launched very successfully around 2 days ago. Ethereum didn't have any splits, so Ethereum kept being Ethereum. It's safe. We're all safe there. And I think the way to view this, and this was summed up very well on Reddit, is that this is an upgrade to Ethereum 1.0. And of course, once Ethereum 1.0 has another upgrade, we're going to hopefully see Ethereum 2.0, which is going to have a huge load of upgrades, including the ability to stake.
Yes.
I mean, this is what's the center of the discussion. Everyone's like disregarding Istanbul upgrade itself because it doesn't have that many kind of immediate implications to everyone. It's very much a programmer-based kind of incremental upgrade.
Yeah.
But long-term wise, I think people are excited that Ethereum is moving forward. So are you excited right now, Jeff? Because I mean, you built your project on Ethereum as well. And you know, one of the reasons I kind of wanted to ask you long ago was, why do you choose to build on Ethereum?
Yeah. And so Ethereum, I think very much like Bitcoin, it's just good the longest test of time in its sector. You know, Bitcoin's not the fastest, cheapest, most efficient, but it's been there the longest. It's the most secure. It's the most used. It's the most adopted across exchanges. And I see that being the same case for Ethereum. It's just has a nice track record. ERC20s are easy to implement across different exchanges. And so these upgrades are happening slowly and they're a little bit shoddy at times. I think the last upgrade, they were going to launch it. It got delayed, I think 3 times. And then 24 hours before the last launch, a third party came in and they said, there's a critical vulnerability. You can double spend here. And I'm like, wow, how do you not catch that?
Exactly.
So
and it was such a small upgrade too. It's also a minor upgrade to the network.
Yeah. And so it does bring a lot of concerns for what Ethereum 2.0 is going to bring, because especially in the security side of things, it's a full rebuild, honestly. Yeah. You're on a proof of work system. You're transitioning to proof of stake. The overlap there is pretty negligible.
Like, I'm so excited for it because we've been harping about Ethereum 2.0 for a long time. Ethereum's due for an upgrade because right now it's not fully functioning. It's not for mass use right now. Yeah. And eventually it'll get there. So we're all looking towards how it gets there. And the proposals for 2.0 is going to be great too, because it's going to contain, say, proof of stake, which I feel is much more environmentally friendly and also much more viable in the long run for kind of taking power away from miners. As much as I wanted miners to be in control, there's also problems with smaller coins where they're very prone to attack right now. We can start seeing that if you're not the biggest top 10 coins, you're pretty much vulnerable if you're a proof of work coin. Yeah. So we're getting to a point where Ethereum's making these right moves. They're making these right long-term decisions. But at the end of the day, like, I'm worried myself that this is a huge upgrade. You know, how long it's going to take. I personally added 2 years to their proposed schedule.
Right.
So, I mean, I've learned from my mistake. Because one of my first videos was about Ethereum proof of stake. Right. And I was like, guys, it's going to come up in 1 or 2 years. That's what the devs say. Yeah. And, you know, we're in 2019 right now. 2 years later, still... We're a little bit closer.
On the deathbed, like, oh, it's coming tomorrow.
Oh man, that would be horrible. But you know, I'm still excited inside. Deep down, I've always viewed Ethereum to have the biggest community, like what you said, and that's why you chose to build on it. And most users. Yeah. So fingers crossed that it will go forward, and fingers crossed that they can get their shit together.
For sure, and I think it kind of chalk one up for anti-tribalism. Because I'm only Ethereum. Ethereum's the only way. It's like, well, if it can't scale, then what are you going to do?
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, so I agree with you.
We'll see how that goes. And guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of more
good back and forth
episode. This is our pretty much. We're gonna try a few of these whilst I'm in Bali, trying to bring on people, and we'll just all have a really good discussion, spread some positive vibes. So, guys, make sure you stick around to this channel. Click that little subscribe button down below. Check out Jeff's project, Uptrennd, and he's doing a lot more. So we're going to have a full interview on Jeff coming up soon. And, see you soon.
Right on. Super glad to be here. See you later, guys.
See ya.